Good morning, and here is MacBook Air M1, which I bought back in 2021 and have been using for the last 5 years. But since Apple needs cash, they produced a dozen more MacBooks, which they claim are up to 3 to 6 times faster. So I have a simple goal: push my old laptop to its absolute limit with 4K video editing, app development, and even opening 10 apps simultaneously to see if it's still great in 2026. Let's get into it. And I will start with the battery life, which is not the best side of this MacBook. Let me explain. It holds battery for up to 14 hours according to Apple. But since the word up to is a nasty one, you should take it with a grain of salt. And from my experience, it is about 10 hours. So it isn't as bad as it sounds, but still a bit worse than you would expect. Moving on to M1, which is the processor on this device. If you live under the rock, M1 is basically the thing which determines whether the MacBook can run Photoshop or only something like Microsoft Word. Anyway, MacBook Air is pretty decent at both. I had no problems using Photoshop on it, and obviously it can run Microsoft Word smoothly. However, if you do something more serious, it's time to level up and talk about pushing this thing to its absolute limit. I will start with opening 10 apps simultaneously. As you can see, the MacBook doesn't explode. So let's add some 4K video editing to it, and perhaps open Xcode, which is an app for developing App Store apps. Wait, I said app twice. Anyway, the MacBook holds pretty well, despite occasional rainbow circles. However, if you're a normal person, you definitely won't do all of these tasks at the same time. So MacBook Air passed the performance test. Finally, let's talk about the pricing of MacBook Air. It currently costs about $700, which is about 2 times cheaper than the latest M5 MacBook Air. So the price is genuinely okay. But it's also worth noting that it has 256GB of storage, meaning you will likely experience some storage limitations, especially if you do something like video editing. But for day-to-day tasks, it's more than enough. So the conclusion of this video: is MacBook Air M1 actually good in 2026? I would say yes. And considering it also supports the latest version of macOS, which is macOS Tahoe, I don't see a reason why it is worse than something like MacBook Neo, or even the latest MacBook Air M5. So for your rock hard money, you get a rock solid product still after all these years. However, if you want to find out about this dynamic island app for your Mac, which will work on MacBook Air M1, watch this video next. I will see you there. Think different.